Welcome to Christian Conversations with Pastor Mensa Otabil.
Welcome to Christian Conversations. I'm Pastor Mensa Otabil, and a Merry Christmas to each one of us and to you. I trust that your Christmas is going to be splendid, that you have time to rejoice in the Lord and what Christ has come to do for us, and time with your family, with loved ones, that you would really have a great time celebrating all of God's goodness to you. Today, we talk a bit more about Christmas, and we'll want to look at it from more of how we celebrate it and the kinds of things we should be doing to make it meaningful for ourselves, for our family, for our loved ones. And I trust that it will be a blessing to you. It's just a couple of days, but maybe something we say here will help you to make your Christmas worthwhile. We have with me Pastor Albert Okran, and we will have our conversation.
Merry Christmas, Pastor.
Merry Christmas.
The message of the angels said, "Glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace and goodwill towards men." How should that influence the way we see Christmas?
We look at goodwill towards men in two ways. First, God's goodwill to us. And God's goodwill to us is in salvation, in the fact that God has stretched forth his hand to us. But it's also our goodwill to each other. That is, human beings being generous, gracious, kind, loving to other human beings. So there is a vertical that is God's goodwill to us. And there is a horizontal, our goodwill towards each other. And in Christmas, we do both. Goodwill from God to us, and then we share it with other people.
Is the tradition of gift giving a reminder of the generosity of God?
Giving is at the heart of Christmas. It's God giving himself to us. And because he has given, we also give, we share. And of course, we see a lot of events in the Christmas story that show this goodwill, even the shepherds and how they go to watch the baby Jesus. There is awe, there is wonder, there is excitement. There is this moment where you feel like heaven has come to visit you, and so all of that is the giving of adoration, giving of worship, giving of ourselves to the Lord and praising him and all of that. So the whole notion of giving is right through the Christmas era.
The most significant giving described, apart from God giving himself to us, is the wise men presenting gifts to Christ. Help us to understand the gifts, their meaning, and the whole significance of that act.
It's one of the things we all remember in our Christmas hymns and the carols and the story of three kings. Of course, the Bible doesn't say there are three kings. We say three kings because they offer three gifts. So then the gifts become the kings. But they're kings, and we don't know the number. It's likely there are three, could be more. But they come in to Jesus. And if you look at the chronology of it, they come in not exactly at the birth of Jesus. By this time, they've traveled a bit, so Jesus is a little older, but still a baby. And they opened their treasures and they gave him gold and frankincense and myrrh, celebrating his kingly role and his priestly role, as well as his suffering and death.
So that speaks to the issue of giving. Let's go to the heart of gratitude. You've mentioned it a couple of times. How does that fit into this picture of the ideal Christmas?
If you read Christmas Carol, the famous novel, there's a guy called Scrooge, Ebenezer Scrooge, who is very tight-fisted and doesn't want to give and doesn't want to be generous. And the whole rebuke of that story is Christmas is not a time to be stingy. So if your hand is strong and you don't give, you're not generous, at least at Christmas, you will smile and your hands will relax a little, and that you would give to people, It may not be a very big gift. It may not be something huge, but you just go out of your way to try and give something to somebody to show your own gratitude for the life you have in the gifts you give. So I think at the heart of it is generosity. Everybody trying to give something.
Because it coincides with the end of the year, there's a likelihood that in your reflections you'll think of what God has done for you, and beyond everything that you do, take a moment to say thank you to God as we celebrate Christmas. Will that be in order?
I think so. There's a giving of ourselves to God. One of my earliest memories, regarding Christmas, of course, my family wasn't that rich, but we tried to give something to somebody. And I remember so well my parents sending Christmas cards. These days people send Christmas cards in text. Doesn't cost anything. But those days, there will be Christmas cards, and this is going to Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so, and this is going to this person, and we will be there. They'll have these white envelopes, and they will have the cards in and write them. Not too many, but that's a gift. That's just goodwill. And then we will also receive Christmas cards from different people, probably about 20 cards in all, and we'll hang them in our house. There will be a string, and the Christmas cards will be on with the Christmas decorations we've made and others. It's just this whole idea to see your parents giving something to some people and you receiving something from other people. Just the exchange of goodwill, the fact that everybody seems to be in a good mood to do something good for somebody, and not just think about their suffering and their pain and how life has been hard. But no matter how hard life has been, here we are, and at this moment, as we celebrate the birth of Christ, we're also celebrating the end of a full year, and we want to show gratitude by extending an arm to somebody. And I think it's a very important thing that we must practice and teach our children to also practice and learn generosity.
At the heart of Christmas celebration is children, and obviously for children, the memories last far longer than they do for even us adults. How important is it to build activities for children intentionally at Christmas time?
These days, it's becoming difficult. I don't know whether my views represent everybody's view, but when I was young, which is quite a bit of time ago, there was so much that happened in neighborhood, during Christmas, and we would dress up and go from house to house, sing songs, and with our Christmas hats on top of our heads, and dance for people, and they will give us biscuits, jam biscuits, the round ones. They'll give us pieces of cake. If they give us a good gift, we sing blessing for them. If they don't give us good gifts, we sing trouble for them. And just go from just having a good time, having fun as kids. So it may not seem like much, but it's a lot. It's a lot about being part of something, being part of a group, joining with others, working with others. It's all about teamwork. So much is learned, being good neighbors, being friendly, learning to share your food and what you have, and all of that. So I think parents should, no matter what their state is, when you're a parent, you have a lot, because sadly after December is January, and so you have to still pay bills and pay school fees or whatever. So you're always trying to figure out, what do I do? Maybe I postpone Christmas because January is coming. But children don't understand all these mathematics about life and hardship. They just want to be happy, So I think it's important that parents spare a moment to make their children happy. Whatever it is, whether it's sewing new clothes for them, whatever it is, just spare a moment to make your children happy.
Growing up in Takrady, I would remember going to the studio to take a picture and posing in front of whatever it was, the masqueraders coming around, different groups.
Yeah.
Have we become more insular and less communal as a society?
I think so. I don't know. Sometimes you grow and you think one thing, but your views may not represent everybody's view. But I think generally, things that used to happen spontaneously in neighborhoods, in close communities, are not happening. I mean, sometimes we do things on a big scale, but we don't see it at a small scale. Most Christmas, I just drive through town. I think it's a habit from my childhood, just roaming on Christmas night to see what's happening. So I do.
What are you looking for? What do you look for when you go out?
When we were kids, we just keep roaming. And so up to now, Christmas night, I just drive through town, every time with my family, we just drive. And more, I'm seeing neighborhoods are just dead. There's nothing going on. Places that you think people would be, you see kids gathered, having fun, just nothing. And then you go to some place and there's a big event going on there. So it's becoming a very commercial thing, but the spontaneous neighborhood family celebrations seem to have just fizzled out. And I much as the big events are good, the whole intimacy of a celebration, a child knowing that they belong somewhere, they belong to a family, they belong to a community, they belong to a neighborhood. People think of them, they think of others. To see their parents being kind to other people's parents, all of that. As you grow older, it begins to dawn on you the significance of all these little things that happens in your life. And it helps you to appreciate life, appreciate people, think about what you have and your responsibility to share what you have with other people. And Christmas is really that pivotal time when all these lessons come alive in families.
So you recommend more intentionality about those intimate family moments and bringing people together in that way?
I think so. We have to. I think the smaller family neighborhood celebrations for me are more significant than the large scale thing. The large scale is important. I mean, in my childhood, there will be places you go and see large scale celebration, but in neighborhoods, you also see something happening. These days, I drive through town, and I do it every year. And by 10 o'clock, the city is dead. So I keep asking, what's going on? What's going on? I mean, and that's the way it is.
Talking about childhood reflections, what would be your favorite childhood Christmas movie, Christmas song, Christmas book from your childhood, memories of your Christmas childhood?
We didn't have movies in my time. Television was very rare. So there will be only one or two places where there's television. And there wasn't much of Christmas television, but it was, my Christmas memories are neighborhood kids coming together. We go to cut palm branches and we'll build our Christmas heart. Sometimes every year we try to improve it. We build 2 rooms or 3 rooms, and we feel very proud that we've constructed something significant. And everybody brings food from their house to their Christmas heart, and everybody eats. I mean, now that I think about it, the foods were very tiny, tiny little things, but just the joy of children having fun. feeling a sense of accomplishment, that we've built something, that we have our world. So those are things that really made a deep impression on me. Going around the neighborhood, singing and dancing and receiving gifts, and seeing people come to your own house, other kids come into your own house, or you join your kids and you go to your own house and you hope that your parents will not misbehave and be stingy, so that the people will be teasing your parents. So you're really hoping and praying that your parents are generous on Christmas, and just being part of that activity, I think, is very human, and it teaches you so many lessons.
Interesting that after all these years, you still remember them.
Yes, because they form part of the building blocks of your life and your appreciation in life.
Let's talk to families that say, "So I don't have it." Talk to these families that at this time are saying, "It sounds nice, but we are challenged financially or economically."
Sometimes the gift may not be something material you give to people. Sometimes it is just going to people and say afishapo to in their homes. You doesn't take money to wish somebody a Merry Christmas, to see somebody and so I wish you well, and I pray that in the coming year you'll give birth to twins and you have goodwill towards. It doesn't take money to do that. Our pain is real, and not having money is real, but we shouldn't also allow that to define everything about our lives. That because we are in this situation, we can't do anything else, and we can't be kind, and we cannot be generous towards people. So I think as much as people have needs and they have burdens, they should also think that maybe just a simple Merry Christmas, Afishiapa, God bless you, maybe all the gift that you give, and you give it.
Goodwill messages, prayers, reaching out to connect with family, calling that uncle. How critical are those at this time?
I think they're important. I see, one of the things I really enjoy, and normally after our Christmas service in church, or Christmas morning, my wife and I and the family, we just drive again in town, just because we're looking at all these kids wearing Christmas clothes and going in groups, and you wonder, where are they coming from? Where are they going? Who sewed the clothes for them? What's their story? But just to see kids, especially from poor neighborhoods, wearing something nice for once and going round, it's a very heartwarming thing, because a parent took time to say, I want my children to feel good at least once a year. They may not feel good every year. So for each one of us, the effort we make, if we are parents, the effort we make may not seem like much, but it's much. Because for a child, very little things mean a lot. It's when I grew up that I got to know my parents were poor. I didn't know my parents were poor when I was a child, because I didn't have anything to compare with. But now, as I grew up, I look back and I say, wow, they didn't have anything. But children don't have these concepts. They don't know that their parents are poor. Little things mean a lot to them. And I think every parent must endeavor to do something. And if you have enough and you know a family that are in need, then you reach out to them and do something. Or a child in the neighborhood that you think a nice shirt would fit them well, give it to them.
One of the things that I think we've gotten right is the growing habit of people actually making cooked meals at Christmas and literally parking a van at the traffic light and then giving them out, going to communities to give them cooked food, media houses organizing a soup kitchen or something that gives out cooked food. How does that fit into what you just
I think it's I know people personally,
churches
and people, individuals who do that. I know people who have like a certain street in Accra, and it's their map, and every year they go there and share something. I know people who do so much generously. They go to a village, they go to an orphanage. People do so much as individuals, and I think it's so honorable to do that. And it's not because they have in excess. It's just people feel they have to do something. And I think each one of us must endeavor to do something. In our church, we try to do things. Of course, we're a church, so we can do things on a grand scale, on a big scale. We visit all kinds of places and give gifts and sing with people. And we allow the children in the church, the youth in the church to go out and just demonstrate that. But that's at an institutional level. I think that at a personal level, we must also do something.
If you had a chance to tell all of us what one thing you think should never be lost in our Christmas celebrations, what would it be?
Whew, that's a big one. Trying to think of one thing. Definitely, we don't have to miss the bigger spiritual import of the season, what Christ is. I think we don't have to miss the import of families being together. And I mean families in the sense of father, mother, children, and then father, mother, children, and cousins and aunties and uncles, and then, extending it a little bit. But growing from the small and increasing it is important. And a lot of families do that. Some families have parties on Christmas Day, on 24th, sometimes on 26th. Some people do it in the new year. But it's all part of this celebration of life and what life has brought to us. And I think for those who do it, congratulations to them, and they must keep doing it. For those who don't do it, encouragement to start and to think always of the children. The memories they are forming at this time is critical for their adulthood.
Let's speak to different constituencies and what you would like to see them do about Christmas. The nation, the church, the community, families, and individuals. Different constituencies. What would you like to see them do in promoting the spirit of Christmas?
Well, I mean, for the nation, people want life to be a bit easy so they can buy a chicken, so once we manage things well so people can afford something just noble for their families, that's great. I wish that we would be intentional about Christmas decorations. I'm a big fan of Christmas decorations. So I wish that we will do that. I wish that the state will invest a little into that. City councils will do that, metropolitan assemblies. I know they are cash strapped, but if they can canvass neighborhoods or people in the area to support, so that we can light up our streets a little bit, just have fun. A year can be so miserable. We go through hustle the whole year. Life is hard, life is difficult, and setbacks and disappointment. So at least for a month in the year, from at least some late November to Christmas up to the new year, the streets are lit up nicely, children going up and down, just enjoying life. For a moment we say, let's get a break. So I wish that at the state and city council, metropolitan assembly level, we would do that. I hope corporate organizations will invest in lighting up their facilities, shops will light up their buildings, and just bring some cheerfulness into the season. I wish churches would have meaningful events for their members and for their communities, and share the little they have with those people, and so on and so forth. It trickles down to everybody.
Talking about corporates, the recent few years have seen a certain, literally almost a competition as corporates adopt different roundabouts in Accra, at least, and then sponsor the lighting for the whole season. And it's literally almost like now there's no roundabout that doesn't have a corporate sponsor lighting it up. And that's quite a good one.
Yeah, I mean, it's been heartwarming. I think it started a few years ago, and it's been doing well. I drive through town admiring all those lights, and sometimes you see people going to take pictures in the night among the lights. I mean, there's nothing more beautiful than seeing human beings enjoying life. For once, feeling good about themselves, about the world, about their life, about something. So for all the corporate organizations that do that, kudos. And we hope that many more will do that.
As a pastor, when you think about your congregation at Christmas, what goes through your mind?
I think of myself. I think of my childhood. I think of my life. And so I try to imagine what are they going through? How's their life like? And of course, I mean, in my family, there were times when there was scarcity. There were Christmases that we had nothing. So there are people like that. So all these things never leave you. They stay with you throughout your life because you understand your own need, and you can understand that there are people who are where you used to be, and you're trying to do your best to make life a little easier for them. You can't solve everybody's problems, but you can make the burden a little lighter for people.
We've had an amazing year on Christian Conversations, and it will be a good time to wish our listeners, viewers, a Merry Christmas from Pastor Otabil.
Well, for all of you who have joined us in the few weeks that we've been broadcasting these conversations, I wish you the best of God's grace, God's mercy, goodwill towards you. I pray that this season would be a joyful one for you, that no matter the burden you've carried throughout this year, at least in this short moment of your life, you can look at your life and have something to smile about, something to cheer yourself, something to thank God for, something to be happy about. And I hope that something that happens at Christmas will not just stay at Christmas, but it will take you through the rest of your life, that the goodwill of God will not be short-term, but long-term in your life. And I pray that your family have a fabulous time, that you have a fabulous time, and I pray that you enjoy this season and enjoy all of God's goodness to you. Merry Christmas to all of you, and have great time in the presence of the Lord. God bless you. Listen, if you've been blessed by this Christian Conversations, what makes the conversation really great is your participation. We want to be able to serve you. We want to be able to help you. And if you have questions along the line with what we are talking about, please let's have your questions. We want to interact with your questions. We want to think through them, and we want to pray that we can come up with answers that are scriptural and that help you to grow in your Christian life. And we also want to encourage you to be part of this conversation. Subscribe to this podcast, and let us enjoy a time of enriching Christian conversation as we grow closer to the Lord. Let's hear from you, and let us build this together.
That is all the time we have for today. Join us for the next episode at the same time next week. Thank you for watching.